Hi guys, just wanted to come on and say hello. I haven't forgotten you guys. It's been 3 years since I put out anything, and I thank you for sticking with me. To all my subscribers and to the new subscribers, welcome. I have gotten messages on Instagram about, putting out new videos on YouTube. When am I going to put out a new video? And I've been getting all those messages for 3 years about. And, I haven't forgotten you guys on YouTube. I've just been dealing with so many things, personal stuff, family stuff, and yeah, but I haven't forgotten you guys. Also want to talk about some things that's been bothering me. And while I was at the gay parade, it was brought up again. They had this banner at Gay Pride, and it was LGBTQ plus something, 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 something. I can't remember the whole entire alphabet that they had. My friend turned to me and said, "What does that letter stand for? What does that alphabet mean? Like, what does it mean?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't." When I was growing up, when I was a teenager, and I had to go to meetings, it was LGBT meetings. We didn't have this long alphabet. And I think we are just becoming too much with that. It's becoming overwhelming. And I can understand a straight person saying, enough with the alphabets. It's becoming overwhelming to me. It's just becoming too much to me. And also, what's becoming too much is, you know, do you want to be called he, she, her, they, them? I went to my dentist office, and while I was in the waiting room, it had the names of the doctors, it was like a medical place, had the names of the doctors and, dentists and stuff, and what they wanted to be called. They, them, he, she, right next to their, to their names and, their degrees. And I'm sitting there in the office thinking, okay, here's the doctor, MD, you know, um, okay, they, them. And, you had all these different doctors on, psychiatrists and stuff, all with all their names. And if they want to be called they, them, he, she. And I'm sitting there like, this is just way too much. This is way too much. When I was growing up, we didn't have this. And yes, pronouns have always been around, but is it really necessary to, It's like if someone comes up to me and asks me, what's your pronoun? I'm going to say I don't go around, using my pronouns. Like, okay, I want to be called he, she, they, them. No, it to me, it's just too much. It's just way too much. We're just becoming out of control with the alphabets, and we are becoming out of control with the pronouns. And I understand everybody wants to be represented, everybody wants to be seen, and that's great. But how long is this alphabet gonna go? Like, when I looked at that banner, it was just, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and my friend is looking at it like, LGBTQ, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. It was just so long. And all I knew was LGBTQ. That's all. I didn't know the rest. It's just, we are just becoming crazy with all this. And I understand why, straight people, say, it's too much. It's too much for me, and I'm not straight, and it's too much. Some people who are part of the community may disagree, but I don't think we need every single letter to describe, you know, sexuality. Do we? Do we really, though? Do we really? And do I need to walk around saying, my pronouns are he, she, they, that, like, come on, come on, maybe it's because I come from a different time, you know, I come from a different time where, you know, all there was LGBT. And we didn't go around saying, my pronouns are, you know, they, them. Yeah, somebody would say, oh, that's a he, that's a she, and that was pretty much it. Now it's just, especially with the younger generation, they all want to throw everything out there, and it just becomes overwhelming, and I don't think we need to have every single letters in the alphabet to describe someone's sexuality. And all these different sexualities are just confusing me. Like, it's just confusing me. Like, it's, you got like all these sexualities, half of them I don't even understand. I don't understand half of these sexualities. It's as I said, it's nice that everybody want to be seen, everybody want to be represented, but it's like every time I turn around, there's a name for a new sexuality, And I'm not used to that. I'm used to, okay, gay, bi, trans, queer. That was pretty much what we had. I remember as a teenager, they sent me to, counseling, and I went to LGBT meeting, and all there was teenagers. We all sat around talking about, what it's like to be gay and bi and trans. And trans at that time, for me, wasn't even, the most focused on, on gender and sexuality, but we don't need to have every single thing for gender and sexuality. It's just way too much. Like, do we need all the alphabets for sexuality and gender? Do we? Like, seriously, do we? And I'm not trying to be rude. As I said, it's wonderful that everybody want to be seen, but it's just becoming so overwhelming. Like, I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 5 more years. And there's not going to be any space for anything because they're going to be running out of letters for things, and they're just going to mix more, like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk about that, about all the letters for gender and sexuality, and about pronouns. As I said, like, it was just so crazy sitting at my doctor's office and seeing, okay, he, she, they, them, right next to the doctor's name and, their degrees. And it was just so crazy. It's just too much and too overwhelming, and it's getting me all confused. I can just imagine how a straight person feels.